subcutaneous level, and it's just a pocket of pus, and they can become quite large and quite damaging to the tissue there. And abscesses. Many times you'll see in stitches and stuff, it's a constant battle for doctors when they're putting stitches in to prevent these abscesses from happening. As they go through with that needle coming through to pull that stitch through, many times the Staphylococcus is pulled into the wound with it. As that happens, it grows, it multiplies, and causes the effect of abscessing. We use aloe vera on all these factors and stuff when we're using it in our office, and that's the main thing that it's good for. We have an associate we refer out very heavily in our clinic that does similar to a chemical peel, but it's a more advanced method of chemical peel. He would not be without aloe vera. He's taken people from a 6-week healing cycle down to a 1-week healing cycle. Instead of being in his clinic or in his a rest home type thing after this type of peel for a week, they're in there a day now. This is the tremendous properties of this preventing infection and the inflammation that he would pick up normally in that type of a procedure. The sty on the eye, another example of Staphylococcus. Internal bone osteomyelitis, highly painful, very, very painful. Bone tissue is the most painful tissue in the body. Also the kidneys. Aloe vera taken internally can help promote and prevent this type of inflammation. Hospital strains. You've heard of the persistent bronchial pneumonia. They talk about persistence, the word they use. The reason it's persistent is that particular Staphylococcus changes. It's on a constant changing program, causing the hospitals to continually update and update and update their antiseptic procedures. Endocarditis, you're hearing that more now, terrible damaging to the heart valves. And basically what happens is you'll get a carbuncle or some type of pus-forming thing in the triangle, the death triangle in the face. The veins and arteries going from that head to the heart do not have valves to protect it from backflow. So the bacteria, the Streptococcus, goes back down into the heart, attacking the heart valves. Terrible disease. Again, another area where aloe vera is very, very good is in the salmonella. Salmonella is a coliform which invades the intestines. It's found in contaminated food and water. Aloe vera has been shown to be very, very effective against the typhoid salmonella, one of the toughest strains, one of the more common, one of the more difficult strains to deal with. So aloe vera has been shown definitely to be effective there. Another property of the aloe vera is its ability, or its cherolytic ability. Now, cherolytic means softening, dissolving, peeling of the horny layer of the epidermis. In other words, that outer layer, that first layer of the epidermis there, or skin you would call it. The way this happens, aloe vera is deep penetrating. One of its major qualities is deep penetrating. It allows water to replace the fatty layer, a protective layer there. Uronic acids found within aloe vera actually strip the toxic materials of their harmful effects, stripping those harmful toxic materials. It increases the circulation of blood to the area. The dead tissue just sloughs off then, and it fosters new growth. In the aloe vera process, when we're dealing with aloe vera, inflammation is probably one of the things that we want to get under control right away in many of the disorders we treat. Remember, you can only be sick 3 ways. You can be sick the medical, in other words, chemical way, you can be mechanically ill, or you can be emotionally ill. And you want to make sure you're in the right doctor's office when you're dealing with those. Any one of those can cause another problem. If you have better nutrition, a better support, a product that can give a number of different areas of growth and stuff, and prevention, that's what we use in our clinic. If we can control some of this inflammation, giving us time to return the body to function, then the body makes itself well. I have never met a doctor who ever made anyone well. The human body does the healing. And so as doctors, we want as many avenues as we can to help our process, the part we play in the process of healing. So you can become a better person, become what you want to be able to do those things and make life quality and fun. And aloe vera products have found that in the inflammatory process. Another property of aloe vera is its ability as a growth stimulator. As a growth stimulator, it accelerates the rate of healing. Even FDA concedes that aloe vera ointment actually accelerates regeneration of damaged skin tissue. Hospitals that use aloe vera, they found a 50% better results for burns. Radiation burns, radiation ulcers, these type of things where they're doing using radiation for therapy, like in cancer situations and things like this, they found that they have half the time on healing now. Leg ulcers. Many of these leg ulcer situations, like in diabetics and stuff, take years and sometimes never correct themselves. They're finding it takes weeks instead of years with this type of product. Aloe's probably greatest quality is its ability to penetrate. It penetrates very deep. It has this power to penetrate deep into the dermal layer, this lower layer of the tissue, and we'll do some drawings here later and show you what we're going to do there. Other properties it possesses causes it to go below that dermal layer, pulls those properties below, helping that healing process, and anti-inflammatories, which we already talked about, the inflammation process, breaking it down. It allows water, moisturizers, which are complex carbohydrates, to sink deep, restoring lost fluids and also replacing the fatty layer of the tissue. Again, a protective layer there, protecting it. Enzymes are found in aloe vera, break down and digest the dead tissue. In other words, the tissue that's already died, it has this ability to break it down. Let's go to one of my actual photographs here of tissue, and let's review some of these things I've talked about here. Now, this is one of my actual photographs. This is a chunk of skin that we're going to take out of here. It has a flat surface up here. There's pores in the skin that everybody can see. We'll put a pore right here, or a hair follicle right here on the edge where the hair comes down, and it has a root and stuff, and then that hair comes out. Great photograph, huh? Also below in the skin is a layer that goes like this, in this layer of skin. This is the dermal layer in here. This is a protective layer. If we did not have this dermal layer, every bacteria, everything that you picked up, everything you touched would go right straight through into the veins and stuff. Down in here are all your nerves coming down into this area. There's also your sebaceous glands. Coming from here would be this gland that causes a sweat gland and stuff in here, which is, I called pores earlier. Down in here is a number of different, all the processes of the skin of touch and feel, function, contraction, and everything happen down in this layer of skin here. Aloe vera's ability to penetrate below this layer and cause healing is one of the major things as a growth stimulator you see. When you get a break in the skin that actually breaks the skin, aloe vera goes below. Let's take the break this way. So it actually cuts down in. Actually cutting down into the skin, a cut. Aloe vera has the ability to penetrate below and start rebuilding tissue underneath out. In other words, aloe vera goes below the damaged tissue and heals up. Also, we talked about sloughing off. The enzymes compete and stuff and break down the dead tissue, sloughing that tissue off. That's what's happening. This is why many of the properties of aloe vera, you hear about the fact that it doesn't scar, that the scarring rate that works on scars. This is the process. As the tissue heals, you're getting a good layer of tissue all the way up, healing out. Another thing in the growth stimulation process is some of the nutritional properties of aloe vera. Aloe vera is very high in nutritional properties, and one of those nutritional properties is calcium. And calcium is the most abundant mineral in the body. It regulates the fluids through the cell wall. In other words, it equals balance. As these fluids are on each side of the wall, it balances those fluids. It's a catalyst in nerve conduction. It's better to communicate. In other words, better communication within the nerve itself. Let's go to another actual photograph here. Basically, most nerves will have just a straight nerve that has a calcium and potassium qualities. Now, there's potassium and also calcium in aloe vera. So this whole process, and the sodium process. what you normally run into is the potassium on the outside and sodium on the inside. And they have to, an electrical impulse is the change of going in and out as they exchange, so the sodium comes out here. Well, what happens in this process right here, calcium is used right here to cause that process to happen. In a myelinated sheath, now these are special myelinated sheaths on these nerves are like this, and then the sheath is on the outside and it has little dips in it. Okay, can you see that? And this is the myelinated sheath here. Okay, myelinated sheaths are on large nerves, and what it does is it speeds up the reaction, because only the potassium-sodium exchange can happen here. And so it speeds it up through this process. Again, calcium has to be there for this impulse to happen. That's why you'll hear calcium as nature's calmer, because it actually causes a speed up of the nervous system or the reaction within the nervous system. This is a chemical reaction, polarity changing. Health is polarity. So with the polarity changing, it helps that process or speeds that process. Or it doesn't really speed it. What it does is it allows the body to work the way it's supposed to work. Muscle metabolism, blood chemistry. Calcium is very, very important. Calcium is found throughout in the body in in most reactions. That's why it's so abundant. One of the other properties within this growth stimulator is aloe vera's help in the coagulation process. In coagulation, again, calcium plays a very important part. It maintains the electrolyte medium. There's a process that goes through where you have thromboplastin from damaged cells. When the cell is damaged, it releases thromboplastin. And from that, it's made prothrombin. We can go through this whole medical thing of breakdown, which is the plasma protein from the thrombin from the liver. It comes from the liver. And then basically what it does, it comes to the end of that chain and comes into thrombin. And it acts on fibrin. And fibrin are the threads of framework in coagulation. Now, in other words, after you go through this, your skin is broken, you have this release of chemicals that finally leads to a process of making threads. Calcium maintains a medium in this that actually causes those threads to float and be able to become like a grid. Then, after this grid is formed around the wound area, this would be any wound, this would even be in a burn. This is why aloe vera probably works so well in burns, preventing the exchange of fluids and stuff, kind of holding those fluids in and revitalizing that tissue. Then the platelets come along and fill in the fibrin. This is like a little net over the wound. And the platelets fill in here and coagulate. Coagulation takes place, and this is what happens. So this is basically what happens in coagulation with the platelets clinging to it. Aloe vera has probably the greatest reputation as a pain inhibitor. It has extraordinary penetrating ability to go beneath that dermal layer of that picture we had before. It has that ability to go down there to replace the fluids necessary to protect that tissue. It moisturizes without closing off oxygen. Oxygen is necessary in all processes of the body for healing, so it does not close off the oxygen supply to the tissue. It protects and leaves that life essential ability to save the tissue. Another factor in aloe vera that is probably the greatest thing we run into is the fact that the proliferation of cells. We talk about growth stimulation. Proliferation of cells means the growth of cells. One of the processes or one of the abilities of aloe vera is to be able to remove the dead and dying tissue. We've shown that of how it sloughs off that dead tissue. With that, you get an increased circulation. In other words, you get better nutrition to the layer of skin. You get decreased scabbing. Without the scabbing process happening on the layer of skin, you're not going to have the damage that's usually left with the scarring and the adhesions and stuff that go along with the healing process. It increases moisture. In other words, it revitalizes, it gives back the tissue what it needs. Whether that tissue's on the skin, whether it's your intestine, whether we're speaking of ulcers, whether we're talking of diverticulosis or something like that in the intestine, it's going to give back the tissue wherever it's present, that life-giving moisturization. as a growth stimulator, aloe vera is probably one of the best things I've seen in my office. I only can get results if I've got good tissue to work with. And so aloe vera has been an important product in bringing our statistics up in treatment of disease because of that growth stimulator. We shorten the term of treatment that we need to do in our process of treatment in our office. It just makes the tissues function better, and it makes them function at its best. This is aloe vera's greatest benefit as a growth stimulator. Another property of aloe vera is its ability in detoxification. This is an important property that we need in treatment of patients, because if we can't get rid of the poisons and we can't get rid of the wastes and the contaminations that we get just within our environment, you're again dealing with tissue that does not have the ability to heal properly. The nutritional aspects of aloe vera, again, probably one of the major components. Again, we talked about calcium earlier. Now I'd like to talk about the factor of the potassium within the detoxification process. Potassium stimulates the kidneys to dispose of poisonous body waste. It's an essential mineral found in the interstellar, in other words, inside the cell, fluid. 5% of the body mineral content is potassium. That's a great percentage, 5%. Potassium plus sodium regulates the water balance within the body. In other words, if you're gaining too much, if you're swelling and stuff like that, you don't have a proper process of eliminating these fluids, you'll get this pitting type of edema. And this is the potassium-sodium regulation. In other words, if you have too much sodium, you can actually damage that process. The distribution of fluids from either side of the cell walls is regulated by the potassium. Did you hear what I said? At the cellular level again. We're down at the cellular level. Proper alkalinity of the body fluids is completely regulated by this potassium-sodium process. If you didn't have this potassium within the body, or you were deficient in the potassium, you'd be a blimp and just full of water and just swelling all the time. It's necessary for normal growth. It's necessary to stimulate nerve impulses and muscle contraction. Many of the muscle cramping you see at night and stuff in the legs is referred to as third stage calcium deficiency. If potassium also isn't available, it can cause muscle spasms. You'll hear of potassium necessary in many of the diuretics because of the potassium helping in contraction of the muscle tissue around the heart, the actual muscle tissue of the heart. Functions in cell metabolism, enzyme reactions, and synthesis of muscle protein itself. Potassium plays an important part. The next product that really plays, it's within the aloe vera, is the uronic acids. Now these uronic acids have the ability to strip toxic materials of the harmful irritants at the cellular level. Do you hear what I'm saying again? At that cellular level. The uronic acids actually strip the toxic materials. When you're stripping that material from that cellular level again, you're again cleansing the body at the cellular level, causing it to give us a better exchange of fluids and stuff. Another property in there is just the fact that it's a better nutrition, and it contains vitamin C, vessel tone, and healthy circulation. In detoxification, one of the main things you're looking to do is increase elimination. Now, before we go on here any further with this elimination, let's go into the probably the number one area that I think that aloe vera has its help, especially in our body. As we take something into our mouth, it's mixed with a bunch of enzymes and things like that that we're using all the time to start this digestive process. It goes into the stomach, it's mixed up, and then it's pushed out into the intestine. As it goes out into this intestinal area, which is very, very long and quite elaborate, and it goes throughout the body. We're going to go with some of my actual photographs again. And it goes down through the intestine. We have the stomach up here, and of course your mouth coming down into there. It goes into this intestine. And we're speaking of the small intestine. As it reaches the intestine, every 4 inches of that intestine absorbs a different nutrient. So you got to remember it absorbs. Let's look at the inside of that intestinal wall and go over the properties that's in there. If you look at the intestinal wall, it's very similar to your fingers. This is the way the wall looks, okay? And within this wall, we have a lot of, below this area, is muscles. It's an actual photograph again. These are little cells of muscular contraction. Because as things move through this intestine, and we'll put a little food in here, as it's done, it's like milking a cow. It actually milks it along in the intestine, moving the bulbous and making it smaller and digesting it, very much like you see a snake. It's much more elaborate because you can see it going down the snake as it does this. These little fingers in the intestine, now we've got one side of the intestine, these little fingers. They have little cells on them that are packed along here, and this is where the absorption takes place. In these, there's blood, there's centers up in here that some of them excrete mucus into the system, so you have fluid in there. As these cells are in here, these cells are unique in the fact that besides having these fingers, the cell itself has micro fingers on the end. This is a cell nucleus, and it has these little fingers. These little cells slough off. Up here, they fall off, so they come out of here, and this is how the regeneration of this tissue within the intestine happens. The interesting thing in our intestines, Americans are known how bad our intestines are. And the reason for this, what are we raised in? We're raised in artificial insecticides, artificial fertilizers, food preservatives. I mean, our contaminations of asbestos, bad water, our whole environment attacks us all the time. It's ingested in our food. You cannot get food today that is not grown in water that's far beyond the contamination level I would put into my body if I was to drink it, or artificial insecticides, which again we've read about the number of different changes it does in the body. Well, the body's not only absorbing these type of nutrients in this way, but also the crud and corruption it doesn't know what to do with, the trash we put in our body, comes in here and clogs this whole thing up, slowing our system down. This is all the junk. This is the last big fast food fatty thing that you can do without mentioning any names of what happens here. These cells down in this area have little ability to absorb anything. So absorption's reduced. So if you had the best diet in the world, you're not going to absorb those products. Not only they're going to get a poor nutrition themselves, but can you imagine something that's packed in a bunch of slime and junk? It's going to putrefy. It is just not going to work very well. So as the food comes along this intestine, this food bolus, it's supposed to be absorbed and go down into these areas, these fingers laying over and wrapping around this nutrient product to absorb it. It doesn't absorb it. And we've only got 4 inches to absorb that product. So if that 4 inches happens to be clogged up, then we're going to have a problem with, again, this ability to assimilate or ability to eliminate the proper stuff in there. Aloe vera we've used in ulcers in our office to dramatic results. Stomach ulcers in our office where people are scheduled for surgery the next week. We put them on the aloe vera and I do a tablespoon an hour. I'm flushing that system continually with aloe vera. We have had not one case out of the many, many, many we've handled ever go to surgery. When they get in there and look, it comes for the surgery day. A week later, most of them within a week, we do not cancel the surgeries. We're all set because these people are in a life-threatening situation. They have not had to have the surgery. We use this in chronic constipation, chronic diarrhea. Why is the diarrhea? The body's trying to get rid of the stuff because it can't assimilate it. It has an irritated bowel. Or, can you imagine how irritations would happen in here? Colitis, diverticulitis, all those itises that happen in the intestine happening because you've got bad tissue in here. Aloe vera comes in through here. It not only bathes the tissue of the intestine with nutrition, it actually softens, moisturizes, and breaks away because it's fiber content, this layer down in here. This is my belief of why aloe vera cleans the intestine up so fast. Our job in our office is to speed up the intestine. If they have diarrhea, we're not interested in speeding it up anymore. We're interested in slowing it down because of the loss of fluids. Aloe vera works in both processes. It's nice to have one product that does both. When we go into this process of chronic diarrhea, we're looking to back it down to where we're going triple. In other words, 3 times a day we want them going to the bathroom is what we're looking for. When we have chronic constipation, I mean, I have literally had people in my office that go once every 2 weeks, and it'll be little tiny droplets. It looks like rabbit pellets, and they call this elimination. And yet they're eating normal diets, and you're wondering, where is this stuff going? It can't be building up. Yes, it is. It's building up in their intestine. You can palpate and feel the pockets and stuff in their stomach, and these large bulbous things that don't move through the intestine. Aloe vera gets in here and loosens up internally as a juice and stuff, cleaning this area out, again increasing absorption. It increases the elimination of toxic materials. When this is clean, it's going to absorb. So aloe vera feeding through this not only causes the body to be able to eliminate better, it also increases the regeneration process. The regenerative process, if it can absorb the aloe vera, absorb the properties of aloe vera, you're going to constantly get a better quality of nutrition, a better quality of body function. Again, we're looking for function. If we're getting this increased regeneration and we're getting this elimination of detoxification, we're going to get better assimilation, in other words, better absorption. That 4 inches, if it's clean, is going to get those nutrients in the food you're eating. Okay? Then with better assimilation, you're getting better nutrition, you get to feeling better, the tissues work better, there's better function at the cellular level, there's better function throughout the body. What do we get? We get this increased energy, you get more energy, you get this quality of life that you can't get any other way than when the body's functioning normally. The quality of life in aloe vera, when we're looking at these aloe vera products in detoxification, I think this is one of the major things that aloe vera does for people because of the society we live in. We're in a very fast food type of thing. Everything's instant. It's already prepackaged. We have to use preservatives. We have to use colors and dyes and things that we know are harmful to the body. We've known for years, and we continue to use those products in our food process. The artificial insecticides, the artificial fertilizers and things like this lower the quality of our food. The minerals and stuff in our soils are severely depleted. So again, detoxification is very important in the body to be able to get rid of the properties within the food processes that we do absorb. Again, giving us a better range of nutrients and a better absorption. Aloe vera as a whole is a product that I couldn't do without in my practice now. I would feel a big part of my practice missing. Aloe vera makes the body function better. How does it make the body function better? It makes tissue better. It gives you that quality of life, and I keep talking about this quality of life. That's what we're here for. If you can't play the golf, you can't do the fast rivers, you can't do those things you want to do, you need to do something about that, because the body was designed to enjoy, to have joy in this life and do the things it wants to do. Aloe vera plays an important part not only in the nutritional aspect, but in eliminating those aspects and competing with those aspects of our society that are not good for us. Aloe vera will be a continuing study in America. We don't know enough about aloe vera. It's been used for thousands of years. There's a lot of claims for aloe vera, some of them exaggerated, some of them right within line. We continually hear of the miracle of aloe vera. Well, the miracle of aloe vera is that it makes tissue function better at the cellular level. If the cell's better, the body's better, and if the body's better, you have a better quality of life. And that's the benefit aloe vera can give us, to all of us in our lives. And that's why it's important to not only me and my family, but my family of patients I have also.